This week on the Steam Machine Podcast, well, boys, it's been a long night out there on the range. It's been a long 2 weeks, but we finally got them all wrangled up, got them trained, got them fighting, and we got ourselves a trophy winner. But all that and more this week when we talk about ranching some monsters here at TSMP Farms. Cue the music! Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Steam Machine Podcast. My name is Dalton, and joining me, as always, are my good buddies, the Destructo Bros.
Yo, it's Nate.
Howdy, it's Willie.
How you boys doing these past 2 weeks?
Well, reckon I just been playing a bunch of them video games.
Doing that there, ranching monsters?
Ranching some monsters, amongst other things.
People are going to get to this episode as their first episode, and they're going to just wonder what the hell was wrong with us.
So many things. Just off the top, there's so many things wrong with us. But no, like this week, I finally started our yearly game for the show, which is Persona 5 Royal. I'm not going to get too deep into it because obviously we're going to be doing an episode on that, but about 6 hours in, and it's a video game. So that's pretty cool. Also picked up Like a Dragon Ishin, which I'm sure that just wonderful. It's honestly just playing Yakuza in early samurai times. Like, I don't know how you can beat it. And just the way that they implement, like, characters you know from the series as other characters from this other time frame. Like, you're playing as a guy named Ryoma, who is based on the Kiryu character model. And it just all works great. And I was very happy to see that in the game, they kept some things that you really needed from the Yakuza series. Number one being, Dame Dame, Dame Yo, Dame Dame Yo.
Wakametai!
Yeah, it's nice. So good. I was so happy when I got to the old school karaoke bar, because obviously there's no karaoke machine, but you just singing on stage in front of a bar. It's just wonderful. Made me extremely happy to see. Like, Yakuza is so good, guys. Like, I don't know what else to say about Yakuza.
Yeah. I have a question. You guys have played this game, so I wanted to ask just one thing about the characters from it. So, Kiryu never kills anyone, but Ryoma's literally got a freaking sword and seems to be slooshing at people. So, is the implication that Ryoma's never killed anyone either, or...?
So, I can actually touch on this. So, quickly, I got this game and then realized I didn't get paid this week, so I had to refund it. But I will get it again so I can play more of it. But from the little bit that I played, there is a scene where some dudes are like, "Oh, fuck you!" And they pull out their samurai swords, and you guys have a sword fight. And then after it's over, I'm like, surely there's going to be 4 dead motherfuckers laying here after this fight is done. And no, in the cutscene, they're laying on the ground, and the one guy's crouched over, kind of huffing, holding his stomach like normal Yakuza. And they're just like,
nice.
Oh, what the fuck? Or whatever, they do whatever they say, and I'm just like, okay. So this is another, I don't think he kills people, but I don't know.
I agree with that, but come on, we can't really sit here and talk about Ryoma having a sword and not killing people being a big deal when Kiryu literally shoots helicopters out of the sky.
That's true. That's very true. This is series tradition.
But what I'm liking about it is there's 4 fighting styles in this game, kind of like how you're used to having... might have trouble remembering the names of like Brawler,
Dragon, Brawler, Rush, and Beast.
Thank you, very good.
Wow,
that was impressive. Yeah. This one,
10 points to Gryffindor.
I'm a Slytherin bitch.
And I'm gonna have trouble remembering the names in this game too. So suck it. There's the punchy mode where you're just going fists ablazing. There's the sword mode. There's the gun mode where you just shoot people. And yes, you have a gun in this game, and I still don't think Kiryu's Ryoma, is killing people. And then the 4th mode is sword and gun at the same time mode.
That one's called Wild Rose or something like that.
Yeah, wild something,
Rose, Slinger.
Wild Dancer, something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
But
really fun.
It's really fun. So, like, with that, like, how, like, in the Yakuza game, you're pressing the X button for your standard attacks. In that mode, he's swinging his sword. You hit the Y button, he just pulls the pistol, goes, pow!
That's cool.
Hell yeah. I have... Oh, go ahead.
I was saying, and ammo's not an issue in this game.
Also wise.
It's always so nice. When it's like... when you have games like that where the weapon, you're like your gun is kind of just a side thought, having it have unlimited ammo is a good decision, in my opinion. Or, like in Tomb Raider, your pistols, at least in the older Tomb Raider games, your two dual pistols always have infinite ammo, but your other guns have ammo that you have to find. But you always have that to rely on, old reliables. Two things about Ishin real quick. One, I loved the only mini game I got to do so far was the wood chopping. Yeah. And I don't know why I had a blast with it.
It was fun.
It was so simple.
It was stupid fun for no good reason. Yeah.
And then, without giving too much away, when you were going to meet the brother, it was not who I thought it was going to be.
No. Like, they aged him down, I feel like, and it works. But I'm like, I don't know that I can trust you because of who your character model is.
Yeah, I was totally expecting like the brother to be the brother.
Nishiki or something.
They totally were like, nah.
No.
It's totally
it's so early in the game, I don't really consider it a spoiler. It's Shibusawa from Yakuza 0.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you go in there and it's fucking Shibusawa is your brother. And I was like, really? Because
I can't wait until Pocket Fighter shows up and you guys get to tell me about his exploits.
Hell yeah, man. So yeah, like that game's been great. Just a couple other notes that I have is like been doing a good job of hitting the gym up lately, and I've added another video game in VR to the mix to kind of help with my cardio stuff. And it's a game called Ragnarok. Basically, it's a game where you're piloting essentially a Viking ship. And you have 4 drums in front of you and cymbals to the side. And it's a rhythm game where it plays like folk metal music. And you have to hit the drums along with it. And like the cymbals, you can activate like essentially your Guitar Hero streak combo. It's just a really good time. Like I played it a while ago and I don't know if it received a patch or something that made it work better. Because I kind of had a bad time with it when I first started playing it. But since I started playing it again, it's been working a hell of a lot better. And I've been having a blast with it. So I recommend it.
Are there any good boxing games for the Oculus?
Yeah, there's supposed to be. There's one called Thrill of the Fight that I bought, but then realized that I usually do VR in this room. I don't have enough space in this room to play that game.
Yeah, you accidentally throw a fist through the fucking drywall.
Yeah, because like you're supposed to like make a boundary with your VR system, and it's supposed to be at least 6 foot by 6 foot for that game.
Okay.
I remember Dave from Tadpog said some really good stuff about Thrill of the Fight, that he thought it was also a really good workout in addition to a fun game.
Like, I think that's what I love about VR is finding the games that are a good workout and fun to do at the same time. Like, obviously, I played a ton of Beat Saber, and now Ragnarok's been great. I've tried some other things in VR. I just haven't found it as satisfying as I'd hoped. Like, I got the Skyrim VR, and I played it for a couple minutes, and it just didn't stick with me.
How far did you get in the Skyrim VR? I'm curious, because I had the same experience.
I touched the stones after the...
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so see, I was not very interested until I got the Whiterun, and I walked into Dragon's Reach for the first time, and I looked up.
Yeah.
And I went, holy shit, this building is way fucking bigger than I thought it was.
Yeah, I'll have to give it another shot. It just hasn't been... I don't know, when I've been wanting to just casual game, putting on the VR headset hasn't been what I've wanted to do.
I don't know how up for this you would be. I don't know if the VR version of Skyrim has console commands, but if it did, you could put in God mode, which is just TGM, and then just go explore.
Yeah.
And like, just go look at stuff that you think, find a fucking waterfall you think's cool and chill there and look at it for a minute. And just, it's just an idea.
I'd love to try out No Man's Sky in VR, though. Like, I haven't gotten around to that yet, but I just worry that it's going to be hard on my Oculus. You know what I mean?
Let me tell you, the PSVR 1 struggled a little bit with No Man's Sky, right? It worked relatively well. It's just the resolution wasn't great.
Yeah.
But getting in your ship and pulling up and flying through the atmosphere into space, I can't even describe to you how fucking cool that is. Like, and then you're in space and you're looking around in your ship and you're just like, oh, I can go to any of those planets that I'm looking at if I want. Or I can just warp real quick and go to another galaxy and try to find another planet. Like, it's so cool.
Yeah.
And doing it in VR. Oh, chef's kiss.
Nice.
Though, it might be a game where you play it for like an hour and then let your Oculus rest for a little bit.
Yeah, but what you boys been up to? Because I just been doing nerd stuff.
What you been up to?
I'm kind of having a bit of a frustration with the Uber Eats people right now because I don't have the ability. So my driver's license I needed to put in for renewal. And I didn't realize that in the state of Kentucky, they can only mail it to you. Like there are no other options. If you do it online, it's a physical mail 2 to 3 weeks. If you do it through mail order, it's a you got to wait through mail 2 to 3 weeks. If you go to the office and do it, you got to wait through mail 2 to 3 weeks. And they couldn't send me anything temporary that I could use to basically prove that I am still licensed to the satisfaction of the people at Uber. So I'm just kind of stuck not being able to do anything with them for the next, well, I guess 2 weeks or so until my permanent license arrives.
Yeah, it sucks.
Is there any other like service that you could work for? Is it kind of like a exclusivity type thing where you can only work for Uber?
No. If they don't take that as a document, by the time I could even get whatever I have approved by someone else, it would take too long.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
Well, hell.
Yeah. So just a big frustration.
No.
Just something that's been agitating me for a while. I'm trying not to let it get me down too much, but it is kind of a bummer to not be able to work at all.
Yeah, that sucks.
And I feel like I'm blaming myself because I didn't realize that it would take 3 weeks to get my license renewed.
Who would think that
makes
would?
No sense.
That's crazy.
No, I would think there would be a bridge document they could at least hand you or something, you know?
That's strange to me because at least here, now granted, I live in a small town and the DMV is not exactly always packed like it is in some of the bigger areas. But like I walked into the DMV and was like, I need a new license. And they were like, okay. And they ran me through the whole process and I left there with my new license. So
yeah, that's how I expected it to be as well. That's why I did it online because I saw it was, about the same length of time. I figured they would send me something temporary I could print off. But no, the only thing they sent me was basically no better than a receipt. And the people at Uber support weren't able to accept it as a license because it's not really one.
No.
It's a printed document instead of a official whatever.
Dumb.
Sucks and it's annoying.
Yeah. But at least we've been having fun playing some fighting games lately.
That is true. You want to talk about fighting games?
Yeah, man. Because we started playing 3 fighting games again lately with each other. King of Fighters 2002 Unlimited Match, which there is an episode on, and I recommend you go back and listen to.
Yeah, you weren't on that one, but you were instrumental in putting that one together because I was playing games with you to get some info for the show.
And then Street Fighter 5 and Guilty Gear Strive. And
yeah, so these are all games that are still being pretty actively played by people. Like, you can go online and get a match right now.
Yeah. And it's funny because, like, I feel like I'm so decent at Street Fighter compared to the other two. It's just like, I know my inputs. I know how to basically approach a neutral in Street Fighter 5 and all that kind of stuff. And then me and Willie start playing King of Fighters 2002 Ultimate Match, and he just destroys me.
It was pretty hilarious. Like, that's the one game that after we played, Nate, I suddenly saw Nate is on King of Fighters Ultimate Match playing practice mode.
Well, yeah, dude, because that's a game that has like a lot of achievements that I thought I would never be able to do. So I just decided to practice my Iori combos, and then I went into the Endless mode, and there's an achievement for beating 10 characters in a row in Endless and for beating 30 in a row in Endless. And I got both of them just from practicing and, honestly, being a little bit of a scumbag and using projectiles.
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Cheesing out CPUs is no crime. I don't think cheesing out humans is a crime, really. Just if someone can't beat it, then they didn't deserve to beat it.
Cheesing SNK enemies is completely okay because they will cheese.
Yeah, if anything, it's a moral good, actually.
I have a quick question for you guys.
Yeah.
So you said you've been playing King of Fighters 2002 Unlimited Match, Street Fighter 5, and Guilty Gear Strive.
Yes.
Can't help but notice that there are 3 of those. So I'm curious. Give me a fuck, give me a marry, give me a kill.
Oh,
of the 3
that's
fighting
tough.
games that you have been playing. I knew it'd be tough. That's why I asked the tough questions.
That is mean.
Do you want me to go first on this one? Because usually we make Nathan answer things first.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, I have a pretty immediate. I really do think that there's a good chance that unless I get into another King of Fighters game, there's a good chance I'll be playing King of Fighters 2002 Unlimited Match off and on for at least 5 or 10 years. So I'm going to put that as my marry. I've never played the series before now, and it's giving me the exact short-term attractive fling I wanted, so Guilty Gear Strive is going to be my fuck. And then I guess I'll kill Street Fighter 5 because 6 is coming out sometime soon, so I'm going to have another bait.
Look, he kills the one I beat him consistently at. That makes sense, right?
You were beating me pretty consistently at Guilty Gear at first, too.
Yeah, that is really, really difficult because I guess I'm going to have to agree with the fuck on this one because Guilty Gear Strive is just that one that's kind of grabbed the attention right now. It's the new hot thing for me. And it's just like, yeah, let's do it. The other two puts me in a really difficult position because those two are both like two of my favorite fighting game series of all time. And I love characters out of both of them. But it would feel like a travesty to not marry Street Fighter 5 because of Chun-Li. And then I'm sadly going to have to kill a great game. Isn't King of Fighters 2 Unlimited Match? And like, I feel really bad about that.
Yeah, you got to kill Mai too.
No.
Rip Iori.
I know, that's painful because Iori's like might be my favorite fighting game character.
You guys were just getting to second base in practice.
If I had to do the three, I have to say I think my answer would mirror Willie's, because I love King of Fighters. That specific game, that game got me refreshed my love for fighting games.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and then Street Fighter 5. Go ahead.
I was going to say, both of us, me and Nathan, had bounced off of traditional fighting games for a while and had mostly been playing platforming fighters for a while now. Like, ever since Smash Ultimate came out for the Switch, that's been that, Brawlhalla, a little bit of Multiverses, hell, even Brawlout to a lesser extent. Like, we've been mostly playing platform fighters, then the joy of traditional fighters came back to me, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And then Street Fighter, like, I bought Street Fighter 5. I don't remember why I bought it, but I bought it probably to play with you guys. And I've loaded it up and played it a few times. I am not good at it.
It's not easy.
I also want to point out the loading on that game is atrocious. It takes so long to get into anything in that game. Like, you load the game up, you're going to be sitting there for 10 minutes waiting for that game to load up.
Even on my solid state, it takes forever. Yeah, it's fucking... It's not optimized well as far as menus and stuff go.
Yeah.
Because once you're in the match, there's not a lot of lag or anything. Like, that part works fine. It's getting there that takes
Yeah, agreed.
All three games are, fantastically functional. They have great, I think, presentation. I think they have great gameplay. I think they're very deep games that I have a lot of fun learning. But I still think of those three, I think Guilty Gear would be the one that paid off the most if I actually wanted to really learn it. But I think King of Fighters is the one I'm most likely to.
My only issue with King of Fighters is, like, I know very few of the characters very well. Like, I can do well with Iori, I can do well with Terry and Athena, and there's probably a couple others that I can select and do decent with. But there are so many of those characters I do not know their input commands for at all.
But that's the other thing, though. Even though it's a huge roster, it's not like Smash Brothers where every character plays their own game when you're fighting against them. So really, all you need is 3 characters that are your main team and a couple pockets. Yeah. Like, I don't know exactly how pocketing works in this game because I think that, like, some characters are recognized as being good frontmen and some are good anchors or whatever. But
but I just like to know how to play everybody, like Street Fighter 2. You could.
Yeah, I get it. We did this when we played Capcom vs. SNK 2 all the time. It almost felt like a point of honor that we would pick one character we were really good at and then 2 characters that we were just, like, having fun with.
Yeah, I will say that, since King of Fighters, I've gone and played, some of the newer Mortal Kombat games. I played Tekken 7, and I bought King of Fighters 15.
Oh, did you?
And I think I did. Let me check. I think it's either on Steam or GOG.
Yeah,
Uno momento, por favor.
I'm planning on buying that fairly soon. If it goes on sale again anytime soon, I'm probably going to pick up King of Fighters 15 just because it looks great.
Yep. In fact, no, I'll install it later so it doesn't fuck with the call, but yeah.
Of course, I'm going to miss that perfect SNK pixel art, that it was insanely good. Nothing like that has ever been made. Nothing will ever again. But the fact that the game was able to move into 3D graphics during the Playmore era without it looking, really garbage, like, I think it immediately aged a lot better than, say, Street Fighter or EX.
I agree.
And of course, I'm going to be the one that points this out. And once you hear what I say, you'll know why I say that. I'm playing as Vanessa in King of Fighters 15, and the only thing that I can't notice is like, damn, they made her feet look weird. Like they're like big and weird, and I'm like, it's just so strange to me because she didn't come off to me that way in the older games, but it is what it is. But dude, she's still just that boxing, getting in there and just throwing those hammers, but still just as fucking hard to use.
Yeah,
like I still can't believe that I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna pick this shit because she's a boxer. And then when we were looking, I think it was like when we were doing the episode or maybe even afterwards, we looked up what's the hardest character to use. And I think Vanessa might have been number 1. And it was like, son of a bitch.
We talked about it on the episode. Yeah.
Of course, I fucking made it as hard as possible on myself. But I really like that character.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
so
for sure.
It was rewarding to learn her. Because when I finally... I wonder if that VOD at the moment is still on Twitch, where I finally beat Chrysalid and was just like, yeah! I just fucking flipped out. But yeah, dude, it's good shit.
Hell yeah.
Good shit. Anything else you've been up to, bud?
I'm good.
No?
What you been up to, bud?
Let me think about. I have been all over the place. So I've been working. There's been a lot of work drama going on. If you want to hear about that, you can tune into the Abs Pod. I'm not going to bug you about it on here.
Sounds incredibly exhausting on a physical and emotional level.
Yeah, that, and then there's been some personal stuff going on that's also been like having its toll on me. So, as my brother put it today, my brother called me and we ended up talking on the phone for like an hour, which is like the first time maybe ever in our lives that we've had a phone call that long. And he was like, "I want to see you get some wins, man." He goes, "I feel like you deserve some wins because I feel like life's really just been kicking you in the nuts a lot lately." And I went, yeah, yeah, that's what it feels like, bro. But it was good to talk to him, and he's gonna like get with me and try to help me start like budgeting properly. And he's like, I'm gonna set you up with like Google spreadsheets. He goes, because that's just what I know how to use. Because he fucking works at Google, so of course he knows how to use that. And help me do that. And he said like he really wants to try to help me get out of the situation that I'm in.
Yeah.
You know, so
that would be
I appreciate
good.
that very much. He listens sometimes, so Chris, if you're listening, I do appreciate that very much.
Thanks, Chris. We appreciate you doing what you can for our man.
Yeah. Chris is a good guy, man. He's a good guy. Other than that, let's see. What have I been playing? I've been playing all kinds of stuff. I resubbed to Final Fantasy 14. Just for some like dopamine blasts of getting on my mounts and flying around the pretty areas and doing crafting. I could really give a fuck if I actually like get max level again and stuff, but I really find it relaxing to just log in, roll the joint, fire it up, and just do some gathering, like go around, do some mining or something, you know? It kind of relaxes me after like a long day, so I was like, I need a month of this at least.
Fair enough.
So I did that. Like I said, I got Ishin and played a little bit of that, but ended up having to return it. But I'll get it again because I need to play that game. That is a must. I played enough. I played 56 minutes of it, and I'm like, dude, I am buying that motherfucker. But so other than that, I've played a little more Hogwarts Legacy. Still think that game is absolutely fantastic. One of the things that I appreciate about it, and I might have mentioned this last episode, but I'm going to mention it again, is that there are slight references to the books. Like there's a professor whose last name is Weasley, right? But because it takes place in the 1800s, they almost do not reference, like Harry Potter is not mentioned.
Yeah.
None of those characters are mentioned. It's like they took it and they did their own thing with it, but they just used the castle and the world space as kind of what they were doing. And man, you know, it's been a really good time. Just exploring the castle, going to all the nooks and crannies, finding all the little hidden secret passages and stuff like that. It's just fucking cool for a nerd who grew up reading those books.
Yeah, that sounds like the kind of feeling you get when you would get like found a Minecraft recreation of like the entirety of the Lord of the Rings or whatever.
Oh my god, I'm glad you brought that up.
Really?
Yes, I actually am. And then I want to touch on the other game that I've been playing. But first, I one time loaded in to that Minecraft server.
Oh, nice.
Where it was the entire recreation of Middle Earth. And in order to get in, you have to answer questions about the books in Middle Earth and things. And if you don't get them right, you cannot proceed.
Huh.
And I couldn't for the fucking life of me figure out the answers to some of these questions. Like, and I don't remember why I didn't try to Google them or anything, but like the little area that you're in with them, and you guys know how I am sometimes where it's like, for some reason, some games will just fuck with me and make me nauseous.
Yeah.
This particular Minecraft area, I don't know if it's because I was going up and down these steps that were in there over and over and over, but I just started getting nauseous, and I'm like, okay, I can't even figure out how to get out of this beginning fucking cave, and I'm getting sick to my stomach. Fuck this, I'll come back and do it another time. And that was like 2 years ago. So, but I still really would like to check that out. I think that would be really cool, you know? And if there's like a Minecraft recreation of Hogwarts, fuck, I would love to check that out too.
Yeah.
I like things that people do in Minecraft blow my mind, even though Minecraft is not a game that I'm going to go out of my way to build something like that myself. I appreciate the things that people put, like my niece one time, this was like 10 years ago, God, Minecraft's been around a long time, hasn't it?
Yep.
Jesus, yeah. So like, it was like 10 years ago, my niece sends me this video that she's like, look what I did in Minecraft. And I'm looking at this thing and I can't tell what the fuck it is. It's just huge. And then she flies off in the other direction for like a long way and then turns around and it's a giant ass Pikachu.
Aw.
And I was like, well, that's cool. How the fuck? Like, how did you scale that and do it? Like, did you just like build some of it and then fly away to make sure it looks okay and then come back? Like, that's tedious.
People are wild on
that's
that
like
game.
The people there, there's some real, like, I mean, it's like Lego builders, but like digital.
When everything surrounding you is digital. That was for Kana.
Digimon, digital monsters, Digimon are the champions. That was for nobody in particular.
That was for Nowhere Man. He's a real nowhere man. And the other game that I've been playing.
That up.
Other game that I've been playing is Elden Ring.
Herb. Nice.
I got Elden Ring.
Yeah, we watched you stream it a bit for the Discord, and immediately you had some fun with it.
Yeah, I died a lot. After I got off that with you boys, I was like, well, I think I'm going to play for maybe like another hour and then go to bed. And like you guys were doing the fighting game thing, and I wasn't like feeling super social anymore.
Yeah.
But I ended up playing Elden Ring for like a long ass time after that. And what I kept doing was like, that beginning area where there was like that first encampment where all those dudes were at, and then it was like the one hard guy with the big shield.
Yeah.
I farmed that area, killing them, running back, sitting at the site of grace, so they respawn, go back, kill them again, over and over and over until I was like level 50 something.
Of course, you managed to turn Elden Ring into Cookie Clicker.
Yeah. I turned it into Grindfest 2.0. And I was able to then go back to that one boss and summon that dude in, and we fucked that boss up.
Nice. So congrats.
Now, that being said, I also have beaten Godric, who is the big main first boss that you get to before the game opens up, and they're like, hey, here's actually the game. Like that big area you were exploring, it's just the beginning area. Here's the rest of it. Godric took me summoning in 2 people and using every potion I had and eventually like hiding in a corner while the other 2 fucking killed him. But I survived. I was almost dead, but I survived and got through it, and now I'm in the rest of the game. So next time I stream it, it's going to be like a lot more of an open area experience, and you can start really seeing some grotesque ass monsters.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Let me tell you, I'll tell you this one area I walked up on. There were just giant lobsters everywhere. And some of them were laying on their sides and sleeping. And I don't know if you've ever seen a lobster that's carrying eggs, but it's not a pleasant thing to look at. And these are just giant fucking lobsters when they're laying on their sides, and underneath them are just these mass cluster of these fucking eggs, and I'm just like, fuck you, George R.R. Martin. Why did you fucking think of things like this? What is wrong with you? Like,
mud crabs, disgusting creatures.
There's a fucking main boss in the game that you have to deal with, and he is called the Dung Eater.
The loathsome Dung Eater, I believe.
Dung Eater. And it's like, damn. But I look forward to it. Listen, I don't know what it is. I used to fucking hate games that were that hard. But From Software knows how to make it hard, but you don't feel like it's not being fair. Unless there are instances where I'm like, okay, I shouldn't have died there. But more often than not, I'm like, ow, that was a dumb mistake on my part.
I feel like the thing about FromSoft games, it also gives you that feeling that you should be allowed to fight back as hard as you can against the enemies. Like we were saying earlier about cheesing SNK fights and stuff. Like, if you find something that you've just tricked an idiot into falling for, absolutely roll with it, you know?
Yeah, dude, if you can convince a giant-ass enemy to wander its way off the side of the mountain and kill itself, and you get all those souls for free, absolutely do it. Use the environment against them, damn it.
Yep.
Try to think real quick. Let me go to my home screen real quick. Go here on Steam. See if there's anything else that jumps out to me in my recently played that I would want to talk about. Loaded up WWE 2K Battlegrounds. It's all right. It's very arcadey.
Yeah.
Very arcadey. But something about the animation style just works, though, with the style of gameplay it has. And the hits feel meaty. I don't know how to describe it. Like Batman level meaty. When you hit somebody, it's like... But then I also like threw a clothesline at a dude and he kind of just fell over and there was no impact barely at all. So you get what you get. Played some Civ 6. Been playing some Civ 6. Started using one of the ancient like samurai style guys because that's what I wanted. Of course, you guys know me. I love samurai, and their special unit was samurai. So I'm like, yep, taking that one.
Yep.
And I have founded a religion called waifuism. And it is
so you can pick your religion name in samurai or in samurai.
Yes, in Samurai 6.
Civilization 6.
Yeah, you can
Samurai Showdown 6.
Basically, you can like find a pantheon. You can found a pantheon, but then you need a great prophet, and you can use the great prophet and found the religion, and then you can name the religion. So like there are ones that you can choose Catholicism or Buddhism or any of those, but then there's also one that says custom.
Cool.
And that's what I did. So I have waifuism. And it's slowly spreading across the world. So far, I've run into the leader of Korea, Genghis Khan, and the leader of Ireland, and like that's it. But there's a bunch more.
Cool. How many civs do you have in your current game?
I think it's 16. Might be an 18.
Wow,
I'm on the biggest map.
So you're going for a big game.
Yeah,
then.
yeah, 750 turns, buddy.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
You think you're gonna get to space? What are you gonna try to do?
I might try to get to space. I always like trying to win with like cultural stuff.
Oh yeah.
But then like scientific win's not bad. Or sometimes I just go full warmonger and take the fucking world over. Just depends. I could tell you.
I like the idea. I don't know if 6 has it, but I remember 5 had the United Nations win, where everyone else just votes that you won the game, which is kind of hilarious to me.
I believe that one of the DLCs for Civ 6 that I got added like a World Council type thing. So yeah, I believe that might be like a United Nations style. I do know, like as far as ground people, like I only have like a handful of people around and some heroes because they've added heroes in the game now. So I had like Hercules for a while. And then when he died, I got the great work of the story of Hercules.
Oh, that's cool. I've always loved that about the Civ games, that like the civilizations and the heroes and stuff aren't necessarily tied to each other. So you end up with like I don't know, like the Catholic Aztec emperors, or like
or you could be in Germany with Machu Picchu.
Yeah, you're George Washington and you've just built the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, I do have, I think, the biggest naval fleet though. Because from Japan,
that's always good to have.
Japan, I'm just on that little island, and then I have some spread over into Asia. But like, I just have my islands like surrounded by ships because I got tired of barbarians.
Nice.
So I'm ready. I'm ready for whenever people want to you want to jump? Let's jump. I'll swim.
Oh, you say that, but Gandhi's coming.
Oh God, Gandhi. I like that was a glitch and they just never fixed it. They're like, no, we're gonna leave Gandhi as being like he's perfectly fine until one day he just snaps and then he just starts nuking everybody. It's tremendous. And yeah, I believe that's it. I've been playing a little Persona as well, but Nate covered that it is in fact a game. Nate is finally getting to the point where it's actually becoming the game. Because how do I explain this? The game being as long as it is, it's got a long ass tutorial, or quote tutorial. It's like the introduction, and once you get past that, it really starts picking up with story beats and stuff. But you're almost there. You're kind of getting there. You told me that it's kind of coming together a little bit, but
it was just a very slow start for sure.
At least Nate told me he met some characters and stuff, so that's nice.
And then I have been playing one other game, but we'll touch on that at the end of this episode.
Cool.
All right then, boys. You boys are ready to talk about some Monster Ranch?
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Oh, what?
One last thing.
What?
One last thing. I got to show you these things that I got. So I picked up some stuff.
Okay.
Okay, so I ordered some figures. I got some figures in St. Augustine, and then I ordered some other ones because I was like, I want more of these if they're cool. So, pardon my triple chin. All right. So first up we have
nice.
From The Witcher 3, Ciri, and I believe that is her Elder Blood look because her eyes are glowing white.
Sweet.
Right? Then we have Let me see if I can pronounce this. Eredin Brechglas.
Nice.
He's one of the bad guys. He's badass looking.
Yeah, in case of emergency, break glass, right?
My only problem is that this is one of the ones I ordered online, and it came like that. Which is a bummer.
Yeah.
So that made me be like, well, I guess I could just open these and set them up on a shelf because I don't think they'll ever be worth any money. But they're McFarlane toys if anybody's interested. And I will post pictures of these in Discord unless I already have. But and then I got the, of course, Geralt. Yeah.
Gotta have Geralt.
What are you doing?
You gotta have Jerry Riviera.
And here's the one that's the standout because it's a different series.
Geraldo Rivera.
Yeah, I got the Geraldo Rivera. Circa 1984 with the biggest mustache you've ever seen. This is the one that's from a different series, but I love this character and I couldn't find the game version of him like the other ones are the game versions. This is from this Netflix show. This is Jaskier.
The Bard.
This is the Bard. Toss a coin to your witcher, O Valley of Plenty. In the games, he's called Dandelion because of a mistranslation back in the day from Polish to English. And they just never changed it. So they call him Dandelion in the games. Fucking Geralt would be like, have you seen Dandelion? It's just really funny. This super serious dude. And then you meet a bard. He's like, oh, hello, Geralt. Dandelion. I'm like, really, bro? Tremendous. Yeah, all right. We ranched some monsters this week, boys. So it's time for the O-dubs, or as we like to actually say, the obligatory Wikipedia bullshit. I did that backwards.
You sure did, buddy.
So,
good work, stupid.
Monster Rancher 2.
Wow, that was a very E-class performance there.
Yeah. E-class, like my driver's license. I think. I don't know. Monster Rancher 2, known in Japan as Monster Farm 2. And I was about to ask Willie about that. Tremendous. Is a 1999 PlayStation video game and the second installment in the Monster Rancher series. It is the first game in the it is the first game in the franchise to be released in Europe and PAL regions, where it was published in October of 2000 under the name Monster Rancher. So it got published over in Europe and the PAL territories as just Monster Rancher, not Monster Rancher 2, just Monster Rancher. So this is another Final Fantasy situation we got going on.
That's not confusing at all.
A port for the Nintendo Switch, iOS, and Android has been released in Japan on September 17th, 2020, and an updated version for iOS, Nintendo Switch, and Microsoft Windows via Steam was released worldwide on December 9th, 2021, as part of the compilation titled Monster Rancher 1 and 2 DX, along with Monster Rancher. Now, if you're from Europe, that's Monster Rancher 1, not the one that we're currently talking about. Interesting enough to me that you called it when you were like, and honestly, like looking at the UI in the game, you can tell that this game is made for touchscreen.
Yeah, 1000%.
Like it made me be like, man, I wish my fucking monitor was touchscreen. That would make this real sweet. But yeah, the way it's laid out there, you can definitely tell that it was a port of a mobile friendly version of the game. But that being said, I mean, first thoughts, I thought this game not necessarily aged well graphics wise, but ran better than I thought it would.
Yeah.
Like, at least on fast forward mode.
Yeah, like there's a lot of things I think about this game in its new form on Steam, Switch, and wherever else it exists now. There were some definite improvements that they made from the original, and I appreciated those. Like, the main one, like you mentioned, was the fast forward mode, where you could basically play the game in 2x speed, which helped.
Oh, you think that's the main improvement to this version? Because I would say the one thing that I thought was the most awesome is, so in the original Monster Rancher 2, of course, you summon your monsters by putting your CDs in your PlayStation and waiting like 15 minutes for it to spin up a new character. And now you could just type a CD, and it had a pretty comprehensive list of bands and artists and all of that from wide-reaching genres, and I thought it did a really good job of still having that sense of discovery there, to where I would be like, okay, do you have, I don't know, Fear of a Black Planet by Public Enemy, for instance, for some reason was the first album I tried to check out. And yeah, it's on there. I could click that and see what monster it came up with. And I'm like, cool.
Oh, yeah. Now, I do want to talk about that, but before we dive deeper into that, Willie, I do have a question for you. As this was your host pick, what made you pick it?
So what made me pick this was basically, for one thing, when we were in the Steamy Awards episode, we kind of discussed that we would kind of like to get to some monster racing games. I know you mentioned Koromon and Nexomon as possibilities, for instance, and I actually thought that it would be fun to jump on one of those immediately. So I'd been kind of thinking about it since then, and I thought this would be a low-stress game that all of us have some nostalgia for. And as such, I was like, you know what? I feel like if I pick this, everyone's going to be happy. We're all going to have a good time. We can all put as many or as few hours into it as we want and still end up having a good episode. So I was like, hey, let's see how it holds up and see if we can pull off cool shit we never did when we were younger.
Okay. Now, my next question for you, since you picked this, and so I'll start with you, is when you first loaded it up, you're getting into the game. You got your rose-colored glasses on because you're ready to experience that nostalgia. When you first got into it and you started playing, first thoughts?
I mean, again, my very first thought was I was kind of impressed by the sheer depth of the database in the shrine. I really thought it was gonna not give me things because the first monster I picked, I wanted to use the Gaboo I always used as my first monster, which came from the Metal Gear Solid disc. And I'm like, ain't no way they're going to have another company's PlayStation 1 games in their database. But lo and behold, yeah, I typed in Metal Gear Solid and that, camouflage Gaboo came up. And I was like, cool. So I was immediately ready to go. And I don't know, then I heard the town music or before that even. And I don't know, the whole thing felt like a warm blanket immediately. I had a very positive feeling.
I can agree with that. Nate, what about you, bud?
Yeah, I can't say that my experience was much different. Obviously, me and Willie grew up together, and we played this game a lot together, raising monsters and just seeing what we could do. And
what? Y'all grew up together? No.
And so, like he said, it was just going back to somewhere we'd been before that we enjoyed a lot as kids, and just the nostalgia was real, and it felt wonderful to have that again.
So I guess I do think that we should all point out that we are definitely... This is going to be a nostalgia-driven episode, so we might actually want to explain mechanics and stuff as we go. Just
for when we get into it.
Okay, great. Fantastic. I figured you would. I figured you were kind of driving this episode, even though I was the one that picked the game.
Okay, yeah.
That was a good mute. I didn't hear that at all.
My first experience with it was loaded it up. Now, obviously, I bought this before you guys did. I bought this a while back and loaded it up. And started playing it.
And in fact, you got it for me for my birthday, too, because it was on my wish list, which is the other reason I picked this game. That's right. Because I kind of wanted to play it as soon as possible. So between that and the Steamy episode, I was like, oh, man, wouldn't it be great if we all just had an excuse to play this old game?
Did I get that for you for your birthday, or did Nate get that for you for your birthday? I think Nate did.
Yeah.
You got it for me, probably.
You're
Sorry,
good.
Nate. Dalton got me something for my birthday, too. My memory sucks.
I think I got you No Man's Sky.
Did you get me No Man's Sky? That would make sense, too. Yeah,
I think I did.
I'll check that. If I have No Man's Sky, that's probably what happened. Yep.
Yeah. So when I loaded it up, when I first got it, I was just like, oh man, this just feels like a nice warm cup of tea. Just warm the belly. And then I started playing it, and I was like, fuck, I remember how hard this game is.
Yeah.
Goddamn. And then I put it down and didn't, I picked up another new shiny toy and then another new shiny toy. And then I just didn't play it again until you were like, hey, I want to pick this game for the show. Fuck yeah. Now, here's the mistake that I think we made. I think we could have easily checked out Monster Rancher 1 as well and done both of them at one time, right? Because 2 is probably just an improvement on 1.
Yeah.
So if we never play 1, ladies and gentlemen, take everything that we say in this episode, have it, and that's probably how Monster Rancher 1 is. But I just getting into it again, and then having you guys to talk to with about it, and being like, "Oh yeah, I'm trying this monster. You guys tried this monster. Oh man, look at this motherfucker that I just got." Which, by the way, I randomly got some serious abominations that we'll talk about later.
Oh, for sure.
But really had a good time, a better time with it this time than when I did when I first got it, and I do think that's because of being able to chat with you guys and compare monsters and hear get war stories, and streaming it that one night where we were all playing it and just chatting while we were playing it was super cool too. So
yeah,
I enjoyed it. So what do you have next up on the docket? Do you have a docket? I don't want to interrupt the docket.
Yeah,
I like the word docket.
We can do some docking, but no, it's so what I was thinking was I could go over a little bit of how the game operates and where we go from there. So when you get into the game, you're basically dropped off into the town. You have an assistant named blanking Colt, who's just this adorable little anime girl who follows you around and helps you do everything. So the main way the game starts is you're in the town and you got to get your first monster. There's a few options on that front screen when you're in the town. You can go to the shrine where you go to generate monsters. You can go to the market where you can pick out a monster that's already existing and you can just take it home with you. There's no cost to that. There's a laboratory where you can freeze monsters that you've had and pick up a new one. You can only train one monster at a time in this video game.
Yeah, man. And for some reason, I want to touch on that. I remembered being able to have more than one, and I guess that was just stupid kid brain. I guess I was just swapping monsters out all the time.
Probably.
Or you could freeze quite a bunch.
Yeah, you can
of
freeze them, but then you still can't do two at once. You got to pick which one you want to train. Yeah,
right.
I think those were the main options, were Shrine, Market, and Lab. So you could either go to the Shrine and pick out your first monster. It gives you the option of there's two that are always there, and I think that might be Zoom and Mochi. And then there's a seasonal monster that rotates out. So if you go at different times of the year in the game, you get different choice of monsters. But
Mochi is the kind of mascot of the game, kind of. It's like this cute little pink puffball monster with a kind of weird, I don't know how to describe it, almost like spiny,
scaly back,
head to back, yeah.
It's like a duck gator.
Yeah, a duck.
Yeah. It's a little adorable little chubby idiot. It is a duck gator for sure. Oh yeah, it is like a duck bill and everything.
Yeah, and then Zoom is like this little dinosaur guy. It looks like a velociraptor.
It's basically a velociraptor.
And so then you can take your monster back to your ranch and start training it. From there, like, there's a bunch of different things that you can train it on. And my dumbass didn't pull up the different stats in Monster Rancher 2, so that's my bad.
There are six stats. It's life, power, skill, speed, intelligence, and
defense.
Greg.
Yeah, life, power, intelligence, skill, speed, and defense. There's different training activities that you can do that specifically impact one of them. There's, like, I think 6 training exercises, one for each different thing that you can train them. And there's 4 heavy training exercises that actually increases one at a higher rate, increases a secondary stat at a lower rate, and decreases one stat at a lower rate. So there's a bunch of science that goes into trying to perfect your monster stats, and really you need to decide which stats are important to you within these monsters that you want to raise up. That's one of the options that you can do as a training each week. So there's 4 weeks in a month, and you can do whatever you want to, one thing each week. You can use an item also and do a thing, but there's really just a few things that you can do. 1 is the training, 2 is rest, 3 is enter a tournament, which is where the battling goes on and you get to fight your monsters. And the one kind of special one is a thing called an errantry, where you send your monster on a month-long training regime that they come back from and have a possibility of learning a new technique, which is a new attack when you do that. So your goal is, through your monster's lifespan, to keep these monsters growing, get them as strong as you can, and fight through the different ranks of tournaments. I
feel like I want to break in immediately and say the word lifespan you used is very important. Unlike Pokemon, you do not have a lifetime of time with these guys. Your monsters live somewhere between 2 and 6 game years.
And that's dependent on how you raise them. So there's an important underlying stat line that isn't explicitly stated anywhere in the game. It's your monster's stress level, their tired level, and there's a few. Their loyalty, which you can impress by, how you train your monster, if you praise it when it does a good job or scold it when it does a bad job. And then there's also their fame, which is an interesting stat. If you win a tournament, you gain fame. And I think that what that does is increase your possibility of hitting critical moves in battle, like critical attacks.
Yeah. I also think it might add to criticaling trainings, because I felt like the higher my fame stat was, I was getting more of those. But that I could
possibly.
Be wrong. I might have been being well rested that more effective.
Not exactly sure.
I also feel like that it tended to correlate with the age of my monster too, so I couldn't tell if it was doing a better job of criticaling because it was older or because it was better in tournaments.
That's also true.
There's a lot of little interactions under the hood, and I couldn't tell you how all of them worked.
Yeah. So some of the main things that I learned was just trying to make sure your monster never gets stressed out and never says it's tired. Because if you get those like dialogue boxes from Cult, that means you've already decreased your monster's life a little bit. So you're shit. So your main goal is to try to keep your monster stress-free and rested. And train them, of course, and make them strong. The main goal of this game is there are official tournaments at the end of every 3 months that you can enter. From E class up to S class. So there's E, D, C, B, A, and S class. You gain a trainer rank. You're trying to get to trainer rank number 10. You start out as number 1. You get a trainer rank for each one of those official classes you win. And then there are 4 additional tournaments in the S rank that you can enter. And if you win those, you can get the last few ranks. Let me tell you, that was not easy, but we'll discuss that a little bit more. Yeah. But that's your main... It's the main layout of this game, is you have these weeks where you train your monster, you try to make them as strong as possible, keep them stress-free and rested, and just keep going and make your monster strong and get up to S rank and beat all the tournaments. I think that's a pretty succinct way of defining what this game's all about.
Yeah, I agree. I think you did a good job. You did that better than I could have. There would have been a lot of ums and uhs in mine. So before we dive any deeper into like how we did in the tournaments and things like that, before we start talking about like our really good monsters, I've been going through our chat and posting pictures of some of the more ridiculous ones that we summoned and posting them in TSMP show chat.
Nice.
Just in case we reference them, because I was going to talk about some before, like I said, before we move on. I posted a picture. Willie mentioned the one that he had that was like the Metal Gear based one, so I threw a picture of that one up. Some of the other ones that I got that I found were a Mochi, and he's in a tuxedo.
Just fantastic. I love that guy.
And then there's also a Mochi who's just wearing some pants, and that's it. He's just got some pants on. And I don't remember what I did to get those, to be honest with you. The one thing at the top, I don't know how to describe this other than it is a goddamn monstrosity. It is like one of the pincer. Yeah,
it's based on an arrowhead, which is kind of like a lobster-looking dude.
But it's combined with like a sumo guy. So it's nightmare fuel.
It truly is.
That face watches you while you sleep at night. And then the other one, the one at the very bottom, made me think of like Fraggle Rock band character. Creepy looking little dude. I don't even know what the fuck he is, but he's got nipples.
He does.
And he's in swim trunks and some goggles, and he just looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
But then there's this Suezo. Now this
Suezo, yes.
This Suezo looks exactly like the one that's on the covers. The yellow ass Suezo, big eyeball creature. Everybody knows when they think of Monster Rancher, it's the eyeball creature thing.
It was on the cover of Monster Rancher 2 and is one of the main characters in the Monster Rancher anime as well.
Yep. Now you get him by going into the data bank and typing in Monster Rancher. And you don't pick the one by Koei Tecmo. You pick Monster Rancher by Tecmo. It's just Tecmo. And you get this Suezo. This Suezo has a lifespan of 1 day. But it has a life stat of 999. A power stat of 387. A intelligence stat of 321. A skill stat of 355. A speed stat of 1. And a defense stat of 999. So if you're ever hard up on cash and you need to just like win a quick tournament to get some money, you can freeze your monster if you don't think it'll win the bracket that it's in. Load up this thing and go kick a D tournament's ass and get the money from it, and then you'll have a little bit in your bank. That's kind of like
there's even a little lore to this. It is the only man-made monster in Monster Rancher. It's kind of like the Mewtwo of this universe.
Really? I didn't know that. Well, yeah, dude, he helped me out a few times when I was low on cash and really needed some. Go and bust out a couple tournaments, summon a few of those, get a couple tournaments. I think that's the reason I eventually got the Ghost Stick.
Oh, yeah.
Is nice. Because so many of those guys died on my farm.
Yeah. So, what was everybody's first monster? The one they kind of like first started out with, were kind of learning what they were doing with it. What'd you guys start out with?
I think I already said mine, but mine was the I don't remember the exact name of it, but it's a Gaboo /?. So a Gaboo is basically, it looks like a Geodude from Pokemon if it was made out of pudding.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Like, it's just a little squabbly, squishily dude that has 2 arms and nothing else. 2 arms and a face and nothing else. And then the Metal Gear Solid one, I think, wears a bandana and camouflage. And the thing I always liked about using him first is that milk is his favorite food, so you only have to spend 50 gold a month to keep him happy.
Hell yeah. The only thing better than that is when you luck out with one that loves potatoes.
Yeah, which for some reason I misremembered him as loving potatoes, but it was milk, actually.
I got lucky, and my first monster loved potatoes. I got a noble ape, which was an ape-type monster, which I'm sure you can kind of have a picture in your head already of what an ape-type monster looks like. It's just kind of a little gorilla dude that sits on his butt and likes to hit things. So,
he always sits down. It's very cute.
And the noble ape was crossed with a monster called a Gali, which is kind of like this mask and cape. Like, it's a mask that looks like a sun with a cape, but no body or anything else. Just this really cool looking dude. And this guy was just like a white ape with a headdress on it. I got him from an album by Ghost, so I named him Rats. Because he even kind of...
nice.
Because he even kind of had the Papa Emeritus feel to him, you know what I mean? So, like, it was a very good, fun first monster, which I didn't do super well with, but was able to raise him up to, I think, a C rank, and had fun with him, and he made me a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think I got Snake, my Gaboo that I don't know the full name of the species of, but I think I got him up to B, but he also was just, like, a fighty boy, and I got him to get a bunch of money for me for cheap, so I definitely was using him as the way to, like, seed my future farm.
I think my first one, his name was Naganate, or as I called him, Naganate. And he was a Naga, shocker, mixed with a worm.
Yeah, I think Naga is kind of like just this little lizardy guy with 2 arms or whatever.
Yeah, and like kind of like a snail back side. It's really kind of odd.
Nagas kind of are like sea serpent people.
Yeah,
for like in most fantasy games, they look a little different in this one, but they're very much humanoid.
Because it kind of tapers off into like just a tail.
Yeah, and they slither. He was all right. I got pretty far. I think I got the C rank with him before I froze him, and then I created a few different ones, trying to name them after Willie, and they all were super like wouldn't listen, cheated on everything. So I froze those guys and ended up...
they just had ADHD, dude. Have some sympathy.
What's interesting is I put in Zebrahead, the band Zebrahead, and it ended up giving me a Saurian, which is like the raptor-looking guy, but he had zebra stripes.
Nice.
And I was like, hell yeah. So I named him Zeebs, and he was probably my best monster. I think I ended up getting a like B rank. And I was almost to A rank, and it was like almost time for him to die. I think he was the one that did die, but I had just saved, and then I loaded it and was like, nah, dog, you're getting drunk.
Give him the old Walt Disney.
And then I posted a picture of Scribble Bob.
Scribble Bob.
Yeah, Scribble Bob. No. Was it Scribble? Was it Scribble Bob? It was Scribble Bob. Okay, it was Doodle Bob in the show. But yeah, Scribble Bob. And that thing, it was... So how do you describe that? It's like these creatures that are sentient walls...
Yeah, they're called monoliths, and the name monol might give you a hint that it basically looks like a 2001 monolith.
Yeah, and it just has some scribbles, some drawings of these little characters like Chalk Zone on there. So I just named it Scribble Bob because it reminded me of Doodle Bob from SpongeBob.
Nice.
And I worked with that one, and then I think like I had some others that didn't, but none of them really like I didn't have a connection with any of my other monsters like I did Zeebs.
Yeah.
Other than my big dog boy that looked like the Oni. He was pretty badass. And then my Golem, but my Golem I quit playing while I was doing my Golem.
Yeah.
Now which monster, Nate, I'm curious for you specifically, what kind of monster and like what monster did you take all the way?
Yeah,
let's go all the way.
So I had a kind of fun little thing going on with this. Like, there were a few monsters I had that led up to that point, but what I want to kind of touch on before I get into that a little bit is kind of how there are monsters that you were not initially able to get in this game.
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you are locked out of a ton of monster classes when you first load up this game, and there's a lot of weird and different ways that you would never figure out on your own, I feel like, to unlock certain monsters. But like if you go to the shrine and you load a disc that you have that has a monster on it that you're not able to have, it's like, I regret to tell you, but you're not IMA certified to train this monster, blah blah blah.
Saw that many.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different ways to unlock different new monsters that you haven't seen.
Yeah, I think there are 26 different main species or something like that. And I'm pretty sure when you start the game, you can only raise like 6 to 10 of them. And what you can actually raise depends on the main species, the body type. Because a lot of the monsters in this game are body and subtype. And that's the cool thing is, like, I think Monster Rancher 4 was like body and region. But in this, it's body and sub. So it's like fusions of 2 different kinds of monsters. So it would be like the body shape of a Naga with the skin and face of a Mochi, for instance.
Nice. Yeah. And so one of my main goals when we started playing this game is I wanted to unlock a monster I had never unlocked before. I didn't really care too much which one. I just wanted to make sure that it happened. So on top of like all the other stuff we kind of discussed, there's also things called, I think it's called expeditions that you occasionally get invited to go on. And there was this one particular one I was like, you know what? I want to look up the possible things you can win for this and try to get an unlock here if it's possible. So I looked it up and there was something called an old sheath that you could get there, which is like an old sheath for a sword. And so I looked this up and I was like, okay, if you get this, then you'll get invited if you have a monster in B rank to a tournament to unlock a monster called a Durahan. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to get this. And one thing about these expeditions is you want to have a monster with an extremely high intelligence stat to find the items on these expeditions. And I just so happened I'd been raising really smart monsters lately, so the timing was really good for me. So I went on the expedition, I got the old sheath, got invited to the tournament, and I got invited to see a monster I'd never seen in this game before, which was the Durahan. What basically this guy was a living suit of armor. And so if you win the tournament, you're then given this item called, I don't remember what it was called, but it's some kind of sword.
Ancient sword.
That's probably right. Ancient sword. And if you mix 2 monsters together with the ancient sword, you get to have your very own Durahan, which also unlocks it as something you can now get off CDs and stuff as well. So I got super excited. I think I took 2 monsters from the market that I'd never trained and made my Durahan and raised this guy up. And I loved him. I named him Centurion. And if I remember correctly, this guy got me up to A rank. I think he was the first monster I ever beat an S-class tournament with. And I was just super stoked about everything about this guy. And I was like, came time to freeze him. I was really sad, but this is the furthest I'd ever gotten in the game. I'd reached my goal and gotten this new monster. So I DM'd Willie. I was like, you know what? There's a monster I'm really curious that I want to raise that I've been thinking about for a while called an Arrowhead, which we talked about briefly earlier, which is a lobster-looking guy. But I specifically wanted the kind that was mixed with a golem, which is a big rock monster, which you would expect a golem to be.
It's like Onyx.
See, Nathan didn't want a rock. He wanted a rock lobster.
A rock lobster.
And so Willie sent me the CD that I could get him off of, and I was like, all right, sweet. So I forgot what I named this guy, but this guy was my ultimate badass. He learned this move that thought that could attack from far away, had extremely high accuracy, and was very powerful. So I was like, oh, hell yeah, let's raise this dude up. And he got me further into S-Class, but his time also was short, and I had to freeze him as well. So I made the decision to mix those 2 monsters, which had such a high success rate, together and create a new monster. I was like, you know what? I know what I want out of this, because I felt like that if I worked hard enough, I could make an Arrowhead win the game. So I was like, I'm going to reset this game until I get the monster I want. I want an Arrowhead with a Durahan subclass. So I was like, I was prepared to reset 1,000 times until I got it. First try, he came to life for me, and I was like, hell yeah.
Nice.
And the crazy thing is, this monster's stats started out a lot higher than any monster I'd ever had before. Like, he started with over 300 defense, which was just absolutely insane.
Jesus.
And I made a decision here and there that this guy had one purpose. He's going to win the game.
This is the boy to win the major.
This guy is winning the entire game. He was a lobster with like wearing armor basically, and I loved this dude. He was like perfect monster, everything I wanted. So I just decided early on that my main goal with him, make him live forever and gain a lot of stats. So we barely fought any tournaments because I had raised a hell of a lot of money. I just fought enough tournaments to get his fame up to 100. I had his loyalty maxed out. And it is the first time I've ever maxed out any one single stat on a monster. His defense was 999 by the end of it. He also had over 900 power and super high skill. And skill is an important stat because what skill does for you is it makes your attacks more accurate. So I ran through all the major tournaments, got him up to S rank, and started on with the major 4 tournaments. I fought my first one, and I was like, no matter what, I'm winning the game here. This is a very difficult game, as Dalton had mentioned earlier. No matter how many times I have to reset after I lose one of these tournaments, I'm going to do it. We say Scum, we do it. Dalton can attest to it. He saw Turtle Bear Man is now playing Monster Ranger 2 how many times as I was doing this?
Oh, yeah, dude. I don't remember what I was playing. I might have been Hogwarts at the time or something, but like every 10 minutes or so, bloop, Turtle Bear Man is now playing Monster Rancher 2, and I was like, oh, I know what he's doing.
Yeah, I was scumming my way to the end. I didn't feel bad about it because this game is rude as hell. And I finally pulled it off, and as soon as I did, I posted the credits on everywhere that is Steam Machine related in our host chat to Willie directly, to the Steam Machine chat and the Discord. I was just ecstatic because I didn't go into this thinking I was going to beat the game. My goal was to raise a new monster I'd never seen before, which I did with the Durahan. And it was just such an incredible feeling because there's these games from your childhood that you never beat, that you loved. And then you finally do it as an adult and you're like, yeah, there was no way I was doing that when I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
I was that way with Final Fantasy VIII. Like when I getting through, like I know we've talked about it before, but like just getting to Ultimasia's castle was like the end of the game for me because when I was a kid, I could not get through that fucking castle. So I completely can relate. And I didn't beat this. I did raise a few monsters that I had never seen before. But you've got me kind of wanting to look up how to unlock these because there are certain monster species in the game that I would really like to try to raise, like that one big whale looking thing. That'd be tight.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know how to do that. And like I tried, you're talking about expeditions. Let me go ahead and talk about things that frustrated me. Okay. We've been real nice about this game. I got 2 things that really fucking frustrated me about this game that I want to get into real quick. One, the expeditions. You said it was much easier with the high intelligence, right? I didn't realize that. So like most of my characters had an intelligence that usually floated around 80 to like 140, somewhere around in there.
Out of a scale of 999.
Yeah, out of a scale of 999. So they would go in and they would like just go straight to somewhere where there was nothing and then come back. I'd send them back in.
And then go straight to the same dead end.
They would go like all the way around the map and then end up the same dead end and then go back all the way around the map and come back. And I'm like, oh my God, you're just wasting. One time I looked at my mom. I'm like, this is the most frustrating goddamn thing I've had to deal with in a long time. Oh my God.
So, I didn't know it was based until Nathan discovered these last 2 weeks. Like, I genuinely didn't realize it until Nate's like, oh, I sent a smart monster in and he's actually getting things now.
Like, I had a super smart Suezo that I had trained at that point. Because, like, I went through a lot more monsters than I brought up. Like, I trained my first Ghost ever, too. I didn't realize Ghost didn't have anything it really bred with or combined with to make a new monster. Like, it's pretty much its own thing. So I was like kind of bummed when I actually finally got my Ghost. I was like, oh, this doesn't do anything cool for me.
Yeah, there's the regular Ghost and then there's like a little Ghost with a top hat. I think those are the 2 Ghost kinds.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. But yeah, like I completely agree. Like there's a lot in this game that it does not tell you. And I think that's a sign of the time when it was created, which I do think is a big issue, but you know, it is what it is. It was what it was back then. One thing I think is really helped me a lot in this game was what we mentioned earlier, the fast forward function. I say after I played this game for about 4 hours, I just went straight and played the rest of the game in fast forward. That being said, I beat the game and I stopped playing it after that. I just checked my Steam time, how long I played this game for. I played this game for 26 hours. before I beat the game.
Good Lord.
Extrapolate that. That is 52 hours if I had not played in fast forward mode. Like, this game's brutal, and I don't feel bad about save scumming it.
I would like to say that now, keep in mind, sometimes I would leave it on while I went to work and then come home, play a little on lunch break, and go back to work. My hours in Monster Ranchers right now sitting at 58.8.
Wow.
And I also play almost exclusively in fast forward. So yeah, it's ridiculous, dude. That like this was a game that we're like, we can play this for a little bit. We'll do an episode on it, and then all of it, we were just like, let's just sink a ton of time into this. But it drew us in.
Yeah, exactly. It drew me the hell in, and at some point I just decided, I got a monster to S rank. I was like, yeah, I can beat this game. And then I just could not stop. Like, I thought I'd play this game for 10 hours and call it. Nope.
Well, the good news is, because you were starting to get that far into the game, all of a sudden, I started getting that feeling back when we were kids and we were playing Final Fantasy games on the PlayStation, handing off the controller from one to the other. And I'm like, oh, I think we're about to beat this game. And I basically quit playing after 7 hours.
And I think that's completely fair because, like you said, like, we played so many video games together. I don't know that I ever honestly beat Final Fantasy VII myself as a kid, but I sure as hell beat that game with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, yeah.
I was going to say, because you definitely did the lion's share of work on 8 when we were kids, for damn sure. Like, I definitely remember you were the one that got us through disc 4.
So, yeah, like, that's about all I really had to say about Monster Rancher now. Because, like, I think I told my stories of how I got what I got and all the new things I saw and how it was just thrilling to beat it. Do y'all have anything further you wanted to talk about in the game?
Yeah, I have one more gripe.
Yeah, go for it. I think it's fair to have gripes for this game. I genuinely do.
It's esoteric as hell. That's for damn sure.
Sometimes in the battles, like when you were in a battle, it just felt like you were fighting an SNK boss because it was like I'd go up and I'd hit them and they'd get like halfway, had their health down, and then like I back up and I'm getting some of my shit back, and then I go in for another hit and I miss, and then they just hit me 5 fucking times in a row and kill me.
Even though their percent accuracy was like 33%.
Yeah, and they just whack me fucking and there's nothing I can do, and I'm like, why can't I dodge the way that they're dodging? What the fuck? I have a high speed stat. Why are they hitting me like this? I mean, my speed stat is higher than their skill stat. This is bullshit.
I think that maybe showing you the actual mathematic percentage was like a bad decision in some ways, because I do kind of think that when you see enemy has 34% chance to hit and then they do hit you, you feel robbed. And when you see I have a 79% chance to hit and you miss, you feel robbed. And you end up feeling like you're getting robbed about a quarter of the time, which starts to feel like all the time when it happens multiple times. And
And I'll say this too, at the end of the game when you're in S class, there are monsters where that percent on every single attack says 90. No, like,
you're still
theirs says 90, and they're hitting.
They're 90.
You just have to get lucky on a lot of them.
Jesus.
When I was a kid, I remember being tempted to raise a hair just because I'm like, you know what? I'll just pick a guy that won't get hit ever.
The other thing too is, like, sometimes I would be like, why aren't you listening to me? You have good loyalty. Like, I would just hit something and it'd be like, Durr! And then it gets smacked in the fucking face. And then did y'all, Nate, I know you ended up creating one of these, but did y'all have the issues with, like, Rock Geiger, which is one of the enemies that you can run into, where it's like you're whipping his ass,
Geiger's a golem,
whipping his ass. He hits you one time and one-shots you. Boom!
Rock Geiger and Oakley Man, I feel like, were the biggest, like, skill check, kill your young monsters in the game.
Yeah.
'Cause Nathan mentioned earlier that enemies, or if you get a bad stat, like if your stress or exhaustion goes up too high, then it decreases your character's lifespan. If your character gets knocked out in combat and you don't surrender before they're knocked out, it also decreases their lifespan and has a chance to injure them, which will lay them up like a month in addition to the damage already done to their lifespan.
Yeah, and if they get real hurt, it could be like a month and a half, 2 months. Just weeks just keep going by. It's like, I hope he comes home soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's basically all I have to say about it. You guys want to get into ratings? Willie, you got anything else you want to say?
No, I mean, I feel like that's basically it. I feel like one thing I said earlier and one thing Nathan hit on a lot is there's so much stuff that's just esoteric. It's going on under the hood and it doesn't explain it to you at all. And maybe it was meant to sell strategy guides. I didn't even remember ever seeing a Monster Rancher 2 strategy guide. But I do feel like this is one of those games that the experience of trying to play it blind by yourself, trying to play it with your friends also playing it, and trying to play it with a GameFAQs guide are 3 completely different games. Which that's definitely just something that was true of that era, but it does mean there's definitely different ways to experience it. And I wouldn't blame anyone for getting frustrated and looking it up and being like, how do I extend my guy's lifespan? Because they're all dying really early. And finding out, you need a fucking regiment of tablets, nuts, oils, and leaves the whole time.
Yeah. So, do you want to give your rating, Will? What would you give this game at?
I mean, I'm ultimately going to say, I think that the DX version did a good job of putting some important features in. Importantly, like, it meant a lot to me that they were able to get the magic of the CD creation in there instead of putting in a complete, like, weird, stupid thing that didn't do it. Like, if it had just been a random number generator, or if it had just been type in fake albums from this list of made-up artists or whatever, it wouldn't have felt the same. I think that nailing the monster creation was incredibly important to getting this game working good. So, as far as QLL stuff in DX, I also think that I do think that the fast forward feature seemed really important. I didn't actually utilize it, but you guys got further into it than I did, and it's probably, well, I think me and Dalton eventually got the same place, but I feel like still the age of the game shows in a lot of ways, but I still feel like it's very satisfying to play, and I think my ultimate grade is going to be based on an average of how I felt about the game when I first played it, how I feel about what DX did with this game, and how I feel about Monster Rancher 2 as a 25-year-old game. And I think I have to just give it a 7.5. 7.5 guts out of 10 fooleries.
All right. And Nate, since you beat it, I'm going to let you go last.
Okay.
So you probably have the most rounded view of it all.
Yeah.
So like Willie said, with nostalgia and with my experience from it this time, and just in the fact that, like, they took the time to create some ridiculous looking monsters for you to randomly find in CD generation. One that I didn't bring up that I posted in our little chat here in the thing so I could remember. I named him Boozer. And that's because his upper body, if you look at this picture, is a bottle of booze. His lower body is a shot glass with booze in it. And then his arms and legs are ice cubes.
Nice. What a boss.
Like, who the fuck thought of that? I don't know. So, like, just little things like that are going to push this to an 8 for me.
All right. And I'm trying to look at this game through less of a nostalgia tinted lens. I think it's a pretty good game. I think it's always been a pretty good game. But like you said, with all the esoteric bullshit that it throws at you, I think that the combat itself isn't super satisfying in this game. I don't really like the layout and how the battles actually work in this game very much.
Which I think isn't even something we brought up, that it was based on like 4 different ranges of attacks and then controlling space, pushing and forwarding backwards, and you see the damage percentages the whole time.
If you wanted to get really deep and dirty into the mechanics of this game, you could be there for a really long time. So I kind of pushed past some of it. So I didn't like the battle mechanics in this game very much. I do think that kind of the hidden stats really take away from the enjoyment of the game quite a bit as well. And just not having a lot of things explicitly told to you, like, if you want to do good in this expedition, your monster needs to be smart. Like, that would have saved a lot of headaches for a 15-year-old Nathan. So with that being said, I do think the game has a lot of redeeming qualities. The monsters are really fun. I like the monster designs. I like the process of training monsters. I thought that was really cute and fun. I do think it gets a little repetitive, especially going the distance like I did. It starts to get a little bit, wears you out a little bit. I thought I might go back in and raise a couple more monsters by the time we recorded, but once I won and rolled credits, I was done skis. I think if I would have stopped earlier, I'd have a higher score for this game, in perfect honesty. I like the game. Do not get me wrong at all, but I'm going to give this 7 arrowheads out of 10 Durahans.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like this is a good range of scores. I feel like all that makes sense.
I feel like if I were to remove my nostalgia glasses, I would probably give it right there with a 7.5. But I don't know, man. Something about the memory of this game just makes me not feel like I can't give it that low.
And I understand that feeling completely.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
And even back then, I remember feeling like this game was slightly impenetrable, that he was huge and doing too much, and I was just trying my best to figure it out. And so, like, I don't know, that was part of the magic and the mystery of it, too. So, like, I just think that maybe in 2022, or 2023, which is the year it actually is, it's a little, I don't know, a little just enigmatic in a way that I don't think everyone's going to enjoy. And I think someone picking up the game for the first time, I think that you enjoy the monster raising of it and all that, but I do think it is, it's just a hard learning curve.
It shows its age a lot.
I do think that a lot of my nostalgia from this game comes from me and a buddy of mine. So my dad's a big music head, obviously. Like, it's in my family. It's in my blood. So we have always had a fuck ton of CDs.
Yeah.
So me and Emmett used to just go to town, pull out one of my dad's stack of CDs that was like, 2 foot worth of them, and then just start seeing what we get. And that waiting for those... Not to, like, I want to call them little dopamine hits, but you know what I mean? Like those little bits of just like, oh, what's this going to be? What's this going to be? That little surprise was just always so
and that was the magic of the game, man. For sure.
Yeah.
Like,
how are they?
I remember buying CDs at the time, wondering what I'd get in Monster Rancher if I got this CD. Like, going to whatever CDs, like, I don't know if Best Buy was around back then or not, but just going and looking through the CD collection, like, oh, I bet this CD has an awesome monster on it.
And I feel like I didn't have another experience like that until Guitar Hero. And then I started hearing songs and being like, I wonder how this would track out in Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just good game. Good game. Not great game.
Agreed.
Good game.
Agreed.
Fine game. Fine game.
Now, before we get into the questions, real quick, I'm going to go get my dick in my hand and take a piss. I'll be right back.
Same.
Whatever.
Damn, me and Nick got back at the same time.
All right. Well, now that that's over, we'll hope that whatever that silence reducer takes care of it.
Truncate silence. It should.
All right. Let's move into questions from the listeners.
Yeah.
This first one's a little bit of a beefy boy. Comes in from our very own Team Retrogue. Check him out on YouTube. Instead of blasting a ton of questions like I normally do, I'm going to list 4 song albums, and I want you to describe it in as much detail as you can, what monster you think it would create. The first question, Metallica and Justice for All. Go for it.
Can I go first on this one? A lot of the ones I'm going to do on this are going to be weirder and not like necessarily based on Monster Rancher 2, but I absolutely have a Monster Rancher 2 idea for this one. Which is just, I can imagine a Gaboo, which is the monster that's basically 2 hands and a blobby body, except it's got a blindfold over the eyes and one of the hands is holding up the scales of justice.
I like that.
I like that too. That's pretty cool.
So my idea for this one is kind of similar, actually. But instead of being based on a Gaboo, it's based on a Gali type, which is the town I mentioned earlier that has like the mask and the cape, and that's it. And just with that mask, instead of just being like a sun-shaped mask, it kind of has like the Statue of Liberty-esque thing going with it. And then it has like a little move where it pulls out the torch, because like they can like generate a like light-based arm. That's something I didn't mention about them earlier, that holds out the statue, the torch, pull it back in.
That'd be cool. I like that.
So I think mine would be a Golem.
Nice.
Because it's hard rock. And then I think his name would be Dyer.
Dyer, like Dyer Z.
And he would be not quite black, but black in it.
Oh, that's good.
Very
Shit.
Good.
All right, guys, you did yours on the album track titles. That's good.
All right. And the next
I can't wait for this
next one. I have a bad joke for this one. The next one is the album Hysteria by Def Leppard. All right, I guess I'll start with my really bad joke. That's going to be my answer.
Just do it. We know where you're going with
you've
this.
all heard the joke, what has 9 arms and sucks? That's Def Leppard. So my answer is a color Pandora, which is basically like these little 3 dog things with legs, just with one of the legs cut off.
Okay. I was gonna go a Saurian, right, with leopard print skin, but it's missing an arm. And maybe the other arm is holding a photograph. I don't want you.
Willie hates us right now. Go ahead, Willie.
Yeah, Willie, pour some sugar on us.
Well, that was where my punchline was going to be. So you just absolutely bit my joke. Nope, you don't get an answer for this one.
So the third question,
I'm so sorry,
is the album American Idiot by Green Day.
Oh man. Okay, so like you put in the American Idiot CD and it loads up and it loads in a monster and it's just a JPG file format picture of Nate.
Aw, I got roasted.
Or no, but in serious, probably a, what are they called? Gabu? Yeah. One of those guys just holding like a big bleeding heart grenade.
Son of a bitch. I wanted to do one based on the album art for that one too. That was exactly what I was thinking. Not even joking.
I'm just going to lie and say that that's also what I was thinking. So we can move on to the last question, which is the album Blood Sugar Sex Magic by the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Hold on, I have one more for American Idiot. Do a Durham or whatever, but make him look like Jesus and name him Suburbia. Okay, continue.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, so now Blood Sugar Sex Magic by Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Is that's the album would give it away,
yes.
There, right?
I thought that was Give It Away Under the Bridge, right?
Under the Bridge.
Yeah. I didn't actually come up with anything for this.
So my immediate thought was the monster called the Skipper, which looks like basically like a little raccoon guy. Because he's just kind of a little gremlin, you know what I mean? And I feel like the album just gives off big gremlin energy. So I'm just imagining a very red version of that monster.
Okay. The picture I posted is a little dude in the swimsuit. So you get him, but instead of wearing goggles, he's just got big, wide cocaine eyes. And instead of his little swim trunks, he's just got a cocksock on.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Terrible. Horrible. I like that old school Red Hot Chili Peppers vibe.
And I need it to have swing physics, even if it's rudimentary. Nice. I need it to move back and forth during the battles.
I'm choking on this one. I had answers for the first couple, and you guys actually didn't give. Couldn't think of anything. I guess I'm just going to have to give it away.
Fair enough.
I say then a little hair type character, but make it look like a flea. Just name it Flea.
See, I wanted to do a flea joke, and I couldn't think of a cute. Hair would have made sense. I was trying to workshop a flea joke in my head, and I couldn't land.
He's a nihilist.
That's right. Flea did play one of the nihilists in Big Lebowski. That's awesome.
All right. Our next question comes in from Ariesoradam. Check out his podcast, Revival and Extinction. His question, specifically for @TurtleBearMan, that's me, as it was on his mind. In Dragon Quest, is there ever a time when you A, complete a quest for a dragon, B, fight a dragon, or C, the main character is a dragon? It doesn't need to be answered on air. Oh, but it is going to be answered on air, Adam. So, yes, the one that I can think of immediately is in Dragon Quest 1. You do fight a dragon to save Princess Gwendolyn, or Gwaelin, or whatever her name was.
It was Gwaelin, and the final boss also can take a dragon form at the end of the game. Also, in Dragon Quest 3, there's a spell called Be Dragon, which turns your main character into a dragon.
Oh, nice.
So I guess completed quest for a dragon is the one
I don't have an answer for that one. But there are a lot of dragons in Dragon Quest, believe it or not.
Yeah, there are. And you kill a bunch of them.
So the next question comes from one TurtleBearMan. Okay. If you were a monster in Monster Rancher 2, what 3 stats would you dump most of your training in to match your IRL personality?
That's tough because I have no life. I have no skills. I was hoping someone would laugh at that. Good Lord. They're just like, yeah, we agree.
No, I'm sorry. I was reading the skills so I could put in thought for my
Yeah.
I don't have a life either.
I think it's boring, but I would probably be skill in defense.
Yeah, I think that tracks pretty well.
I think I would be skill in power.
Yeah.
I don't have a life, and I'm kind of squishy.
For me, my monster would probably be pretty bad, but I think mine would go into power because, I love lifting and all that fun stuff. Int, because I've reckoned myself a kind of smart guy. And then life, because I'm going to live forever.
As long as you're not
I'm not stressed out. Damn it, I'm stressed out.
Quickly, because I pulled up a screenshot so I could see the skills, and I remembered that I ran into a monster randomly. It was some kind of Naga, and it was called Punisher, and it looked evil as fuck, and its power was 66.
Nice.
I was like, all right, so it is evil. That's what's up.
Cool. All right. And their next one comes in from Adam as well. His question was, is there any other Monster Rancher media? And if so, would you give it a go?
I think we've splashed a couple of these mentions on the episodes, but I think the main series went from 1 to 4 at least. 1 and 2 on the PlayStation 1 and 3 and 4 on the PlayStation 2. There's also a more recent game called Monster Rancher Ultra Kaiju, I think.
It's Ultra Kaiju Monster Rancher.
Okay. Which is based on monsters from the Ultraman Super Sentai series. Or not Super Sentai. What's the word for when it's like Super... Tokusatsu. The Ultraman Tokusatsu series. And also there was an animated series during the height of the Pokemon Digimon times, which was probably easily the worst of the three between Pokemon Digimon and Monster Rancher. But, hey,
I'd still give it a go.
Us Monster Rancher fans had a cartoon too.
Yeah, I don't think it's a super long anime series, so you could bust it out and make your own decision on it. But there's some stuff out there. I personally really want to play that Ultra Kaiju Monster Rancher. Because my argument was always, wish the monsters in Monster Rancher were bigger. You can't get much fucking bigger than Kaiju, so.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much all the answers I had. The only thing that really jumped out to me was the anime, which I also don't remember being great, so.
Yeah. I remember it existing, and it also, I think, was a 4Kid stub or something, too, so it may have been one of those things where it was also suffering from the same thing as all the other ones we grew up on.
Next question comes from Mr. Puzzles, Dane. What flavor do you think Monster Ranch would impart into a garden salad?
Probably salty.
Yeah. Salty. I can imagine being a little bit spicy as well. Like, get a little heat kick into your salad with that little ranch flavor. Maybe like a Chipotle ranch.
Maybe like a Chipotle ranch.
That was actually my first instinct, but then I started to think about it and I got mad because is this a ranch or a garden? Pick one. What are we raising here?
Fair. All right.
All we know is that it's in the Hidden Valley, right?
It's in the Hidden Valley, for sure.
Yeah.
And our final question.
Oh, I love the Hidden Valley.
Aww. This week comes in from Brian414. Having never played Monster Rancher, I'm curious what would you like to see improved upon or done differently in future installments of the game?
So I think I might be the only one in this group that's played more than one of the mainline series, because I did actually have Monster Rancher 4, and I think I mentioned earlier on here that the subtypes of Monster Rancher 4, instead of being based on the base species, are actually based on the regions of the world. So there's like a tropical version, a desert version, a plains version, or whatever. And I actually think the way that Monster Rancher 1 and 2 did it was superior, where the subtype was literally just based on a different monster species. So what I would really love would be even if they used fewer total base species, if they made it a full round robin where every crossover was possible.
That would be really cool.
Personally, my big thing I would like to see improved upon, Willie, you can tell me if it was or not in 4, is just the battle system in general. I'd kind of like to see a full reworking of it.
It's been long enough since I played it that I really don't remember how the 4 battle felt. But I want to say I think you had less direct control in 4, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think the battle system could use some improvement, Brian, from my perspective.
That is my main takeaway as well, is that the battle system could be improved and maybe give it a bit more explanation in its tutorial.
A lot less hidden stats and things like that, and just a little bit more regard for the player. Be nice.
I'm not even worried about hidden stats so much as just like, I feel like hints tutorial, active teaching you as you're going along would be better. Because I feel like this game was more like a bunch of walls you broke down, which is, it's an older school game design, and I don't think that's invalid. But I think if you wanted to make, Monster Rancher 2023, you would want to bring it up in a different way.
Agreed. And that's a wrap for listener questions. Dalton, got anything else you want to do to take us home?
Yeah, I was looking to see if Ultra Kaiju Monster Rancher has released over here. Mm-hmm. And it says the North American release date was eventually confirmed to be the same date, which I guess was July 24th of last year. But it is Nintendo Switch. Boo! Ported to PC, goddammit. I want to play it. I have a Switch. I mean, I could play it, but, Yeah,
but you've decided to be a bitch instead.
Yeah. PCMR. No, other than that, I guess that's just leaves the
house cleaning.
House cleaning. Just need to pull up the right page for that. Yeah, here we go. All right, if you would like to join the Discord, which is what I very much recommend you do, especially if you want to come peek at some of these monsters that we were talking about that I posted pictures of in the show chat. bit.ly/TSMP Discord, all capital letters. You want to check out the website, which, by the way, big fucking shout out to our homeboy Dane, who is going to be helping me set up a thing that is going to automate uploads to the website and YouTube. So hopefully those will be caught up here soon. His only request was that we let him guest on the show every now and then between TSMP and Yabspod, and I was like, fucking absolutely,
great guest host. So if you want to hear Dane, go back and listen to the Metal Gear Rising:
I'd like to have him on next time.
Episode.
And we'll touch on that in a second. So if you want to check out the website, bit.ly/the Steam Machine Podcast, just capitalize it phonetically. Patreon.com/the Steam Machine Podcast. If you would like to donate some money, that would be rad. And if you donate $10 or more, you get your name read on each and every episode, like these wonderful, wonderful people. Nate Sir Cogsworth, the 7th of June-iper. Jeff, the original Expendable, Mr. Syllables, old nickname man himself, old Jeffy Lube. Ariesoradam, shout out to his podcast, Revival and Extinction. James, the Steam Machine Hall, Monitor Hall. Team Retrogue, check him out over on YouTube. And Mr. Puzzles himself, Dane. We thank you all very much.
Big ups.
Thank you.
Big ups. Shout out to Yabspod, yet another BS podcast that I do weekly with my buddy Jeremy. If you want to check that out, you can search yet another BS podcast wherever you get your shows. Also, shout out to the JRPG Report. Hey, you a JRPG fan? You want a concise place for weekly or bi-weekly, sometimes depending on the amount. You just want to get the news without any extra bullcrap. Check me out over on the JRPG Report. It's completely family friendly. You can listen to that show around your kids. Yabspod. Don't listen to this in the same house with your kids.
Don't listen to that with anyone present.
Headphones.
Actually, just leave your headphones on the ground and press play and then leave.
Yeah, you can download it and give us the download. Then you can just delete it if you like. If you want to get a shirt, tsmpproductions.threadless.com. There are some shirts up now for Steam Machine Podcast, and we've got some Yabspod designs up there now too. The most recent Yabspod one I thought was actually pretty cool that Jeremy made. It's like an NWO style logo with Yabspod. Curious if we'll get hit with a cease and desist from WWE, but we're not that popular, so I don't think they'll care. It's like, we sold one WWE. Would you like this cut of $5 that I got from it? Because I'll give you $2.50. How about that?
They'll give you a cease and D's nuts.
Cease and D's nuts. Cease and D's nuts. And if you like the show music, which is Eat Your Heart Out, Jockbunz, which is the opening song, and the closing track is Jockbunz, You've Saved the Show Again by Nile the Nightmare. You can check me out over at nilethenightmare.bandcamp.com. And finally, if you would please leave us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts, or leave us a thumbs up on Spotify. It does really help us in the algorithm to help more people find our show. We very much appreciate it. Boys, is there anything that you would like to plug before we get out of here?
Got nothing for you.
Yeah, I know last episode we were bemoaning the fact that I went all clean shaven and stuff. So I gotta say, I think that I'd like to give a shout out to my hair follicles, which seem to be doing a pretty good job after 2 weeks of growth.
Yeah. You get 2 weeks of growth. You have already outdone what I've been doing for 6 months. So I do.
Sucks to suck. Skill issue.
Good scrub.
I do want to say here at the end, you can go listen to the Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. Metal Gear.
Yeah, he said it right.
I said that right. Yes. Episode with Dane.
You said it exactly right and got confused that you said it right.
It's a weird title, dude.
It is a weird title.
It's a lot of
I'm so
syllables.
used to saying Metal Gear Solid that I'm like, Metal Gear Rise. That doesn't sound right. But if you want to listen to Dane on that, you can, or you can check us out on the next episode here in 2 weeks, where we will be covering Nier Automata or Automata. I don't know how you want to say it. I call it Automata.
Nier Old Tomatoes.
Which was the winner of our last fan poll.
And speaking of the fan poll, we have a new one up because Nier coming up, and that's our game. It closed out the last poll with a winning score of 11 votes. After I took my vote away, Kingdom Hearts won the poll. So we'll be playing that eventually, diving into some old Disney stuff. Let me go ahead and say right up the bat, I don't expect either of you to beat Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
Just try to enjoy it. You know, that's all I ask. But we got a new poll up, boys. And this new poll that is up already has a tie. All right. So the new poll, we got your selections A through E in this order. Stalker, Shadow of Chernobyl.
Sweet.
Wrestling Empire.
Fun.
Code Vein.
Want to see that character creator. That would be cool.
Yeah. Code Vein is basically anime Dark Souls, for people who don't know.
Yeah.
D is Middle Earth Shadow
Sick.
of Mordor.
Nice.
And E is Shadow Blade.
Looks
Reload.
really fun.
Now, the two underdogs in this are definitely probably going to be Wrestling Empire and Shadow Blade Reload. But there is a tie right now between Stalker and Shadow of Mordor. So we got Shadow of Chernobyl and Shadow of Mordor are tied. So we're going to have a real
Shadows
Shadow
fall.
episode, probably.
Get your metalcore on because shadows fall.
Oh my goodness. And with that joke, I'm now laying here as I lay dying. I'm going to end the show.
Because I shot you with a
Jesus
bullet for my
Christ, I'm
Valentine.
Atreyu. Anyways. So yeah, the next episode will be on Nier Automata. I am stoked. All I can say to you boys about that game, Willie got to kind of see this a little bit on Discord, is that this game is a mashup of a bunch of weird genres you don't think would meld together, and they fucking meld together quite well. And also, this game is fucking hard. There is no shame in playing on easy. I am going to play this fucking game on easy because I played it on normal and got my dick knocked into the dirt and had to start all over on the first level. So there are no checkpoints on the first level on normal mode. So you get all the way to that last boss, kills you, congratulations, you get to do it all over again.
Skill issue. Grow better facial hair next time, scrub.